good. I feel just as good as I did when I left a few weeks ago, and back to normal, feeling good, getting my timing back with all the receivers and everything, and just getting back in the swing of things. But I'm feeling really good.
All right, folks. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Uski and Herbie. And I'm Chris Heidel. I'm Herbie, and Uski is Euan. He's trying to get on. He's having some internet issues, but we got George Bashira with us from the Shakedown Thunder, our good friend from out there in Indiana. So, George, what a great weekend of football! If your team played against Boston College, against fans of nobody, and.
Yep.
And Florida State played against people with NC State that had nobody. Yeah, so let's talk about the last weekend. What did you think about last weekend of these games?
Well, I just want to say is I've asked everybody that follows me and other Notre Dame fans, put 1993 behind you. Okay, it's in the past. You signed, sealed, and delivered a great game on Saturday against Boston College. So Book did what he needed to do, and now it's into the bye week for Notre Dame.
Exactly. So what are they doing there for the bye week? I know a lot of kids are trying to get tested for COVID, and I guess there's some numbers out that out of the people who stormed the field against Clemson, it was 230 of them tested positive, but it was only one player. That's pretty good.
So they test the student athletes in the programs. So I believe it was 237 tests that were performed, and there was only one student athlete that came back for a test positive.
Right.
And that person did not play in Saturday's game. So that's huge numbers. That's huge to hear, those types of numbers around the program, even after the post storm the field with Clemson.
Exactly. We're just talking, Euan. We were talking about the COVID test in Notre Dame after they stormed the field against Clemson, and they tested all the people who started the field. They got 233 positives, but one from the football team. That's not bad.
No. Honestly, one positive.
Yeah, one positive.
I'm honestly going to tell you guys, Elon Musk just tweeted out a couple of days ago that he had 4 consecutive COVID-19 tests, same nurse, same test, same machine. 2 came back positive, 2 came back negative. He quoted, he in his tweet, he said something is bogus is going on here. COVID does not scare me. I know we have to be politically correct, Herbie, but I'm just going to tell you the way it is.
Oh, I agree. Hey, we got to, we have, George and I talked about it last night off the air. We had the same opinion that you and I were talking about, Euan.
I'm not going to be scared. I'm not going to be scared of something that has a 99.6 survival rate, no matter how many cases there are. So, But I know we got to report on it. It's a part of life. It's a part of college football. It's all good. George, good to see you. Herbie, good to see you. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties at the outset.
Good to see you.
Did you pay your bill?
Oh, you're killing me, dude.
I love doing that to you. I really do. I love doing that to you. And you and I have some fun. We have fun on the phone sometimes. You guys, hey, Herbie, I got this problem. Like, what? Did you pay your bill? And also just dead silence for 5 minutes,
Yeah,
right
now. Frozen.
Yeah, he's frozen. There is something going on in North Carolina. We don't know. Maybe Larry Hogan is playing with my computer tonight.
Oh.
Sorry, Larry. Yeah, Governor Larry. Anyway, we're going to wait for Bill O'Neill to join us from the Professional Bowlers Tour. He won the PBA playoff a couple weeks ago in Centerville, Virginia, 25 miles outside of Washington, D.C., with nobody around, just box crew members, and all that stuff. So he has won 13 PBA titles, and he's right now, I think he's on the verge of probably becoming a Hall of Famer. So he's a really nice guy. He's from Pennsylvania, and one of those classic classic bowlers. He doesn't hook. He hooks the ball. He doesn't do the two-handed stuff. He does the old classic one-handed. Just like Pete Weber and all those people.
Yep.
The old-fashioned way. Yeah.
So really quick to get back to what they're asking me about Notre Dame and what they were doing for the bye week.
Yeah. What are they doing for the bye week? I know. What's his
Getting
name?
healthy. They're trying to get healthy.
Huh?
Get healthy. And as my question to Ian Book was about, trying to keep the guys focused on Clemson, because you don't want to come out of the bye week having to kick more rust off. You want to keep that momentum going.
Oh yeah, exactly. I agree with you. Yeah, against North Carolina next Friday on Thanksgiving Friday. And everybody who plays on Thanksgiving Friday, that's a tough game for any school. Because you got to travel on Thanksgiving, you got to go to eat in a different place and all that stuff. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough in general. I just can't remember the last time Notre Dame played the day after Thanksgiving. So this will be something good, because that means on Saturday I can go get my Christmas tree and not worry about missing any sports.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Christmas, this guy came very early a couple weeks ago who won the PBA playoff on Fox Sports 1. Who I got to say, Bill, I love that belt. Where's that belt?
It's right next to it in my little handy protective case here.
Nice. How did the WWF in bowling get a bowling one of those WWF thing? How did they do it?
I'm not actually sure. I know that Fox has a close relationship with WWE, and Rob Stone does as well. And I'm pretty sure that Coley, our CEO, has connections to WWE. So I think that's kind of how it all came about. But I'm not 100% sure, really, what happened, if there was any sort of other things going on, or different cross promotions, or what.
Yeah. Well, this is Bill O'Neill, everybody, from the Professional Bowler Store. Just want to let you know, Bill, you had a great 2020. I know it started at the beginning, and you won the PBA Players Championship, and then all of a sudden everything just crashed, shut down. Trying to figure out if you're bowling or not. During this whole COVID thing, and then all of a sudden they said, "Hey, we're going to Virginia." How was it like being in Virginia for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. I think we were all pretty happy just to be able to get back to bowling. We didn't know, if we were going to be able to finish the season or not. So, I mean, obviously it wasn't ideal for most of us. We would, rather finish in a regular tour manner and been able to bowl the Masters, have the play the way they were supposed to be. But, this has been a crazy year, and we were just really, really excited and happy to be able to continue.
Exactly. George, you got anything for Bill?
So, Bill, with this whole COVID thing, you have the Professional Bowlers Association, and then, of course, part of the PBA is the whole back down to the grassroots, right? How is bowling in general? What is the state of bowling on the national level?
I mean, I think it's from the you got to look at it from the youth level is pretty good. I mean, Junior Olympic Gold grows every year. It's a great event. There's a lot of with the internet, kids have been able to grow as bowlers way faster than I was when I was a kid, and things like that have made it great. I believe we're still the number one participation sport in the world. So obviously everything has been crazy and flipped on its head with COVID, but certainly from a youth level, I think we're in a really good spot before all this happened.
And let me follow up. What is your favorite type of lane condition?
Oh, I honestly couldn't care less.
That's a good answer, by the way.
Yeah,
a good bowler can always adjust.
Yeah, and I learned that a long time ago. I used to eavesdrop on a lot of Norm Duke interviews, and when I was super young, and used to hear him talk, and it clicked back then that the truly the great ones, they don't care. If there's something they can't figure out, that's the challenge. When you go out there and you try to figure that out, because I've always tried to attack each event, individually, and not try to have any preconceived ideas about where I should finish in the event, positively or negatively, before I start.
That's the exact answer that I would give to my guys on Friday night. Guys, it is what we got. You got to figure it out, and you adjust and you move on.
Yeah, I mean, right. I hear that in the league a lot. I've heard from people that just I'm standing at the front counter at the local bowling center, and people are complaining to the manager, like, I was standing here last week, and now I can't stand here. You guys screwed the shot up. And it's like, not the way it works. It's like there's a million variables that, will make you move, 2 boards. Like,
Absolutely. I love it.
Exactly. Bill, I know you won the PBA playoff. Did you give your dad the trophy? 'Cause I know you said on after the broadcast, you're like, "This is for you, Dad, for helping me out."
Yeah. No, I didn't give it to him yet. It's in my trophy case behind me, so I didn't give it to him quite yet. But maybe I will. He hasn't quite asked for it yet. I think he appreciates the shout out and the he likes the sentimentality of it all, I think.
Yeah. Well, Bill, I got to ask you a question. I know last year you made it to the PBA playoff final against Chris Prather, and I know Chris Prather, beat you, and you had to play each other. What did you do differently this year, knowing that you want to get back to that point in the PBA playoff? And what did you do differently this year that made you get over the hump?
I don't think I really did anything different. I just, I had a game plan, and I stuck to it, and but I kept an open mind that there was one match against like Kyle Troop that the ball that I planned on using was a little bit too early, and I used a different ball to kind of keep myself in the part of the lane that I wanted to be in. And that wasn't something I did against Chris last year. I kind of stayed with the exact same ball, tried to do exactly the same thing, and it didn't work, and I didn't really have a plan B. So I guess the only real difference was I made sure that I had a plan B and a plan C in case the other ones didn't work out.
Exactly. Well, Bill, when you were growing up bowling, did you get a chance? Did you watch the Professional Bowlers Tour on ABC every Saturday, like myself? Because I used to watch it every Saturday at 3:30, 3 o'clock, and my brothers were like, "Hey, you want to go out and play football?" I'm like, "No, I'll be out at 4:30."
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, that's all I did. I bowled on Saturday morning, and I came home and watched the Wide World of Sports, and with the intro with the guy skiing that was falling down, every week, and
Yeah, I can hear the feet. Yeah, the feeling drama of the competition. I can see it right now. The guy going backwards, like whoa, yeah, yeah. I got here's a true story, Bill. When I was a kid watching bowling on TV, I got mad at American Bandstand because it came on earlier before bowling, and I used to yell at Dick Clark. My mom goes, "What are you yelling at Dick Clark for?" I'm like, bowling on TV. It's 3 o'clock. Get off the air. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that guy.
Like, yeah, yelling at Dick Clark. Yeah, he was like, my mom's like, "Stop yelling at Dick Clark. He didn't do anything. He's just taping the show." Yeah, I'm like, sorry, Mom. Yeah, but no, I was just passionate about bowling when I was a kid. Yeah, and it's pretty cool to see you bowl because you got that one hand. You still have the one-handed stuff, and I know the two-handed thing is the craze. I know your friend Jason does a great job doing that, but I like the one-handed stuff.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a different way to bowl, and there's obviously 5 or 6 guys who are really really good at it right now. And they kind of, make it look like that's the way the entire tour is. When they really still are a small percentage of them. It's just that when you get really, really good at that, now you have a little bit of an advantage. So the advantage isn't necessarily doesn't really show itself when you're, mediocre. It shows when you can really perfect it, and that's where the gap can kind of separate.
Hey, Bill, I'm going to age myself a little bit here. When I was watching bowling on TV, Earl Anthony was the guy, and Pete Weber was just a young guy. He was one of the young guns, right? Who did you follow coming up, as a kid and getting into what you wanted to be a professional bowler?
And Leto Monticelli was one guy that I loved when I was younger. He was the guy who hooked it. It was just something different about him. He was from a foreign country. He had all the swagger. Like he was a great guy to watch. And Pete as well was somebody that I grew up watching. And then towards like getting into the 90s a little more, I really loved watch Steve Hoskins, somebody else that I enjoyed. So those were it was always kind of the guys who hooked it.
Yeah, I used to emulate myself after Pete Weber on the release, and then here comes the strike and running it out. That was my signature in my amateur days.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did
Yeah.
they imitate Pete a lot. I even hear that from people that I know, like, oh, I just that one there, I tried to roll it like Pete, and I'm like, you didn't, but I'm glad it's a good effort. You didn't though.
Yeah.
Hey, what about Mike? What about Mike Albee? Mike Albee used to run out left-handed. I had Mike on the show a couple times, and I said to Mike, like, how did you ran into a ball return when I was a kid, and I was watching you on TV. Did that hurt? And he goes, yeah, it hurt for a couple days, but it was all right. Yeah. I was like, okay.
I used to turn it off when the lefties came on.
So
you did?
what's it
Like,
like?
I forgot you.
So what's it like there on the tour? What's the atmosphere among the guys? Because back in the day, it was really competitive and all this stuff. I'm sure it's still now. But what's the attitude like on the tour now?
Yeah, it was obviously really competitive. Everybody's fighting for their livelihood. You have there's a kind of a gap in the ages out there. There's really not a whole lot of people between 30 and 40. There isn't really a whole lot. There's only a couple of us, and and I'm almost 40. So you have your guys like me and the super veteran guys, and then you have a bunch of up and comer guys. So it's a really kind of a split, demographic there in age, but it's really competitive, but it's also pretty cordial as well off the lanes. Everybody, there's not really a whole lot of beef between people because we see each other all the time. It's kind of hard to have infighting when you're going to see. It's not like a team sport where you fight on the field and then you go back to your locker room. You don't see the person again. We're seeing these people every single day in airports and all over the place. So it's kind of you don't really try to ruffle a lot of feathers.
Hey, do you ever travel out to the Midwest?
That's true. Well, Bill,
Indiana?
Huh?
I was asking if he ever travels out to Indiana.
I mean, yeah, we bowled in Indianapolis.
Yeah, Woodland. Woodland. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah, awesome. Cool. Well, Bill, thanks so much for coming on. I want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving. I know you might be not traveling to places with this stuff going on, but happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. And hopefully the end of the year is good for you, and I hope 2021 is. We'll get some good news about where you guys are going to be.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me, guys, and happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays to all you guys too.
And avoid those 7-10 splits.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I made one. Yeah, okay, I made one.
I think I've only made one. All right.
Okay, guys. Thanks.
All right, see ya. All right, folks. That's Bill O'Neill from the Professional Bowler Store. I've been there, 13-time titleist. I think he might win Player of the Year, but it's up to what Jason Belmonte and everybody else is doing. But in the meantime, let's switch pages here. Euan is trying to get on update. If you're wondering where our sidekick Euan is, he didn't pay his bill. It's true.
He's got the hamsters trying to run the electricity.
I know. I told him
I got inside the treadmill.
Stop having a hamster. Anyway, speaking of hamsters, we're not going to talk about any more animals. We'll bring in Joshua Needelman here, who covers the Tigers, the Clemson, who were off last week after a thrilling double overtime game in South Bend. So, Joshua, how's everything going there in Columbia, South Carolina?
Think things are going well. Interesting time for Clemson. That Notre Dame game was thrilling, as we all saw. That was their first loss in the regular season in 37 games. So this is my second year on the beat. So for the first time, it's been kind of interesting to see Clemson have a little bit of adversity. Not in the national title game. I mean, last year, 14-0 up until that title game, didn't really get challenged at all. And then the title game they lost. And to have a loss right in the middle of the year makes things a lot more intriguing.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Well, talk about this game coming up this weekend down in Tallahassee. Florida State is not the Florida State of old. You don't have Jameis Winston coming in. You don't have Charlie Ward and Vanover and Jimbo Fisher. You don't have anybody. You got the whoever's left there in the roster for Florida State because I guess Blackman is transferring. Terry is gone because he wants to go get ready for the NFL draft. It sounds like it's going to be chalking up a W and how many points by halftime? right?
Yeah, I think so. Just especially, I mean, just from talking to Clemson players this week and last week, they're really eager to bounce back. Trevor Lawrence will be back. Not that I don't think Clemson really took a step back a ton quarterback-wise. We saw what DJ Uiagalelei could do, but I also just think I think obviously Trevor is more experienced, and I think that experience from a morale standpoint, having Trevor back there, I think will filter throughout the team. Still a little backed up on defense. The Clemson's only 3 returning starters from last year have missed the Notre Dame game, and 2 of them, James Skalski and Tyler Davis, won't be playing this weekend either. Again, Florida State, as you mentioned, not the strongest team this year, so Clemson should probably be okay. But it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that defense and see how some of those new pieces work.
Hey, Herbie, he gets bonus points for getting DJ's last name correct.
Only because I have to.
Don't even try it.
So, Josh, obviously, I cover Notre Dame sports. I don't want to be the team to have to play Clemson after that game.
Right.
They are going to go, and they're going. I'm sorry, Herb. They're just gonna go, and they're gonna stomp on FSU. They're gonna pay the price.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be ugly. Clemson beat Georgia Tech by, I think it was 68 points a few weeks back, and that was at Georgia Tech. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something similar this weekend.
Yeah,
so, Josh,
go
ahead, Herb.
I think Gavin might bring the popcorn maker out. Yeah, the quarterback of the fourth quarter.
What's that?
You might bring the popcorn guy, like from Florida State. Like, hey, you want a scholarship? Yeah. So just run the ball and get the game over with.
Maybe. Against Georgia Tech, Clemson had its punter get some snaps, actually, at quarterback.
Yeah, I was like, that's weird. Yeah, I was doing some research, Joshua, earlier today. Florida State hasn't beat Clemson since 2014 when some guy named Deshaun Watson was under center. That's a long time ago. And you know where Watson is, right? The Texans.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's been a long time since then. And then, like, I was also finding this one out. From 2017 to 2019, Florida State now scored 105 to 38 against Clemson.
Hey, Herb, they just scored again.
Yeah, it's going to be more. Yeah, it's going to be. I told my mother it's fatality. You know, I'm like, I have to work Saturday at noon, but I'm just going to be like, I'm going to go probably watch a little bit, and it's like, if it gets to 35, I'm going to go run the clock. You know, I'll get it over with. Yeah. Can we go to American Bandstand instead? Yeah. But,
so Joshua, two things. One, I was there in 2018 in Dallas when Notre Dame and Clemson, got it on down there and got eliminated. I was in the Notre Dame locker room talking with the players. Okay. Since that day, I've been really watching this team. I mean, I put them under a little bit of a microscope because of the things that they told me, in the locker room. And I'll tell you what, two good things are happening right now. One, I truly think it's good for a team to have adversity. Okay. You guys dealt Notre Dame some really big adversity when Julian Love went down in the college football playoff, and they utilized that into their favor. Notre Dame, I will tell you, they have matured tremendously. Not that they weren't mature before, but it kind of gave them the roadmap as to where they needed to go. And I would think, I want to say that, the loss to Notre Dame a couple weeks ago, I think that it was good for Clemson to have that loss because it's good to have competition, and it's just a good place to have a measuring stick.
I agree. I mean, especially with with the way Clemson's ACC games normally go. I think it'd be cool to have Notre Dame in the ACC for good after that. I think it'd just be good for the game. I mean, how many Clemson 50-point wins can we go watch after a while, and it's obviously good for the team, like you said, to have that adversity. I mean, even in the ACC title game last year, I think it was 62-17, Clemson beat Virginia. So I think it's really good. Yeah, I think it's really good for them to have that. And I think they'll be stronger for it. And I think Clemson will probably, win the ACC title game. I think this will. And I'm not a homer. I'm not from here. I didn't grow up a Clemson fan. I'm just saying I think this will be this. I think this can be the sort of thing that'll really propel them.
So Joshua, being a Giants fan, I remember I was telling Herb about this. The Patriots beat the Patriots beat the Giants in the regular season, and they said we're perfect 12-0, right? And then the Giants come up. Then the Giants get to the Super Bowl and they beat the Patriots. So it's losing. It's about what's important now, as Coach Kelly's saying, about what's important next. And if Notre Dame doesn't go with look at what's important now and continue to build, that could be a really bad slippery slope for them. So they just can't. They're not going to rest. But I think that it's put extra pressure on them when it's going to come time for that ACC championship game.
I think so too. And also, being a Giants fan, I remember that season well. I think I was in 8th grade.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it was my senior year when the Giants beat the Patriots again.
It's a beautiful day.
Yes. Yeah. I think I even though Notre Dame won that first game, I do think there will be more pressure on them in the likely ACC title game for everything that you just said. I agree with that completely. Just because Clemson's Clemson, right? I mean, they're gonna be favored to win, I think.
And to me, I agree.
Yeah. Plus, it's hard to play somebody the second time in the season. The first time you know what they really are. When you play them in the second time, they're going to throw something after you. It's like the Clemson in Alabama. Every year it's like the same thing. It's like Rocky IV. You don't know if Apollo Creed is going to fall down, or Drago is going to pop up and go, "Hey, I'm going to beat you."
The worst thing you can give Clemson defensive coordinator Brent Venables is more film. That's not what you want.
No. You don't need no more film. So you said you're not from the area. You're from Baltimore, right?
I'm from New York. I went to college at University of Maryland. So yeah, I kind of been up and down the coast.
Okay, cool. So where did you live in New York? I'm from Long Island. I'm from Oceanside. So.
Did you just say wait? Did you just say you're from Oceanside?
Yeah, I'm from Long Island. Yeah.
I'm from Oceanside. Oceanside. Are you kidding me?
That is crazy.
Where in Oceanside?
I moved out of 1987 down here because my mom's from this area. So my dad's from Oceanside, New York. We lived. I was born there. The first 6 years of my life was up there, and then we moved down here in 1987. I've been here in Maryland for close to 30 years in Bel Air, but I'm in Cockeysville right now with my girlfriend. But yeah, wow, that's a small world. Because I'm looking at people in stuff in media, and have you seen like rosters? And I've been looking around going, wow, there's a kid from Stony Brook from Oceanside. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I can't believe you're from Oceanside. I thought you were asking me. I've never actually met someone who's also from Oceanside. It's such a niche place. What part of town are you from?
Well, we were actually from remember School 5 in Oceanside? Yeah, we lived on Stewart Place.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I went to 9E. I was really close to the high school.
Okay. Yeah, my dad went to Oceanside High.
Wow.
Back in the 60s, and then he went to Lynchburg and met my mother, and that's a full story. This is a sports show, not a family oriented show. But anyway, that's pretty cool, man. So when did you move down? So you went to everybody from New York, George. Everybody from New York wants to go to Maryland. I don't know why.
My brother, we lived in Connecticut. My brother moved to Maryland.
Really? Yeah.
Well,
I have a cousin who basically went to Maryland, and she used to work for NBC and did Dateline. And I'm like, why'd you move? Why'd you come down to Maryland for? She goes, oh, they have a good communication department. I'm like, okay.
Well, I think it's probably the Northeastern Mid-Atlantic school that's has the best rah big time aside from Rutgers, and no one wants to go to New Jersey. No offense to any New Jersey listeners,
No.
but Maryland.
Hey, Joshua, you need a special ID to go to New Jersey. That's what
Right.
the joke is, right? Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
George, you got something out there in Indiana. You gotta be a state that Indiana people going, oh, you need a special ticket to go for that state, because they're a bunch of crooks.
Well, that's what we're talking about Chicago.
Oh yeah, you told me about Chicago. But hey, New Jersey is the only state I know has so many roundabouts, and now here in Maryland they put a lot of roundabouts. I was like, I thought we don't need to be in New Jersey. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a great thing to be. Maryland, if they're going to take anything from New Jersey, it should be the pizza. And it's not New York pizza, but I mean,
I know.
Maryland. I do like Lido's in Maryland, though. I love Lido's.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, Joshua, thanks so much for coming on. I feel like I left Baltimore to go to New York for a couple minutes. Yeah. So, we'll keep in touch. We'll get you back on, throughout the rest of the football season, and we'll make a trip down there to Clemson and we'll hang out or something.
Absolutely, yeah, that'd be great. Let me know. This is a lot of fun.
All right, buddy. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys.
For talking with you.
That's Joshua Needelman, who writes for the Carrier down there in Clemson. So that is weird, dude. I think George, I feel like I live in Cheers. It's a small world.
I was going to go. It's like this. Your world just got this small right now.
I know. It's like, and the funny thing is, his parents probably know my father somewhere. Because my dad, we used to do a lot of stuff in Oceanside. It would be like, everybody's connected to somebody. It's like down here. It's like in Bel Air. Oh, you're Will's brother? Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the problem? Yeah. So we're waiting for Pat Skerry to give us a login. The head coach at Towson University. Euan will be on next week. He's on the phone with his cable company right now and trying to get a special deal. It's all right. Yeah. Hey, you might get money off. Say, hey, I'm a broadcaster. Yeah. So.
Hey, I'm glad I was here to fill in. It's perfect. You're not flying solo, at least.
Yeah, well, something I'm used to doing it by myself anyway, and it gets to the point it gets tiring after a while. Like I'm tired of hearing myself talk. Yeah, mm-hmm. And you do the same thing with your show. You probably talk to the point like you're like, I'm done for the night. Thanks. Yeah.
Oh, this past weekend I had this guy come on, and he's one of the local writers for South Bend Tribune and the AP. He was worried about getting 15 minutes in on the show. The dude took the whole hour.
Oh my God!
We were able to do it, and the whole hour went by very quick.
Wow!
So it was the perfect. If there was a perfect show, that was the perfect show because he engaged everybody, and that's what you want, right? You want to be able to engage.
Exactly. Well, next week we'll be here next week on the program on a Tuesday night, the week of Thanksgiving, and we're going to try to do something special, George. I was thinking, with all these great games on Thanksgiving in the NFL, what is your great fondest memories of Thanksgiving football?
Oh boy. Yeah,
I'm thinking we should do something like talk about different rivalries during Thanksgiving. Like you got the Egg Bowl then in Mississippi State and Ole Miss. Notre Dame doesn't play on Thanksgiving, at all. Except for the day after, against North Carolina. I don't know.
I'll just tell you, I think part of my memory of Thanksgiving was, okay, let's go eat so we can watch football. I think that was it. Get the food in, and then let's go plop our turkey stuffed face on the couch and watch some football.
Hey, I remember when I was a kid growing up. Remember the Dolphins and Cowboys when in the snow in Dallas? And
that was great.
And then
they were the shovels, clearing the lines.
Yeah, we should talk about that game next week. This is like our fondest memories. Because I'm sorry, there's stuff in that turkey like MSG that as soon as you have that slice of turkey and then stuffing, good night.
It's the tryptophan.
Yeah, and it always happens around the Cowboys game. I don't even watch half the Cowboys game, and it was a 4:00 game because I'm sitting on the couch going.
The past couple of years, it's been the Cowboys sleeping before they get to halftime. So,
oh God, you're gonna have two teams that are playing on Thanksgiving that have the worst records in the NFL, Cowboys and Lions. Yeah, and it's like rivalry week. You got the Texans playing the Lions, and then you got the Cowboys taking on the Washington Football Club. Just call them the Redskins. Just change the logo, put the R on there.
You have one job. You have one job, and you can't get a team name.
Come on, Daniel Snyder.
2020. We should have known it then.
Oh my God! Like this year, 2020, we have to do probably a 5-parter of things that went wrong in 2020. We got hurricanes. We got too many hurricanes just one over in Central America right now. That's like white. I'm sorry for the folks who are
Iota.
Yeah, it's like I didn't even know they get in the end of the alphabet. Normally it ends like J or throughout the year.
That's because now they've gone to Greek alphabet.
Oh,
there's your little bit of knowledge for the night.
Yeah, and now the winter storms are called in names now. Like I guess a couple of weeks ago they had Winter Storm Bill. It's like I don't want I had to have a winter storm. Come on now.
I want Winter Storm George. That's what I want. I want to come through and just
dump a lot of snow and then go, hey man. Yeah. So we're still waiting for Pat Skerry to get on. I emailed Towson today and gave him the link again, and I hope he didn't. I hope the guy put it on his calendar. But anyway, let's talk about you cover Notre Dame hockey. I had a chance to talk to Penn State hockey yesterday afternoon, and it was fun talking to some players who normally I don't get a chance to talk to. So let me find them here on the Penn State hockey senior defenseman Clayton Phillips and junior alternate captain Adrian Tyler. He's from Finland. So anyway, but those two I had a chance to talk to. So let's talk to Adrian. We'll play his interview real quick. And here he is. Hi, Arnie. I'm brand new to the team, and I'm just trying to get to know you guys. You came all the way from Finland. So how does a guy from Finland find State College?
That's good. I've had a really good time here, and it's awesome. It's the hockey is the best here. The rink is awesome, and I think the education as well. It's a big part of this school, offering high quality education. And I think my family and everybody back home really appreciates me to take that extra step to take care of school. But I'm here to play hockey, and so far these last 2 years have been nothing but awesome. And I have I only have good things to say about State College.
That is great. And that was Penn State junior hockey alternate captain. So they're playing Minnesota this coming weekend. 2-game series in at the University of Minnesota, starting Thursday night at 7 and Friday afternoon at 4. Let's talk about Notre Dame's hockey team. How they're going to get ready. It was pretty funny to watch them play hockey with the golden, the hockey helmet. It's like completely gold. Yeah, it's pretty cool looking.
The weekend was actually kind of tough for the Fighting Irish. Friday night, their season's already started. They were the only game in town Friday and Saturday this past weekend. Wow. I believe they fell 2-0 to Wisconsin, those Badgers. Mm-hmm. And it was you could definitely see that both teams were trying to kick off the rust a little bit. Mm-hmm. Wisconsin just had a little bit extra in the tank there, and it was a tough loss. What was tougher was the loss on Saturday night. Notre Dame went down 2-0. Their Colin Thiessen, he goes and scores a goal. A minute 30 later, he scores another goal. So here he is, 2 goals, right? Mm-hmm. 2 good things are happening. Badgers come back, they score a goal.
Jeez.
Colin Towson in the third period gets a hat trick. Ties it up at 3-3. I mean, just where they wanted to be, right in the third period, sitting there. And then it just got a little bit chippy, and Colin Towson ended up getting tossed with a 10-minute with a 10-minute major, and that was the end. And then Wisconsin came back and took 5-3. But that you can see why that game would hurt more. You come back all the way. Your guy gets a hat trick, and then he gets tossed. So that was a very tough game for the Fighting Irish this past weekend. And it's the tough part about it is it's all conference play. So now you automatically fall to 0-2 in the conference.
Jeez.
So
wow,
those losses are hard to overcome.
Yeah, and they're playing 2-game series, so they can cut down the travel, so they don't have to go to different places and test here and test there and test everywhere. Yeah.
Well, and that's the Towson schedule was almost just like that. If you look at the Towson schedule, they're playing in bubbles. They're going someplace and they're playing for a couple days, and if you look at their schedule, they play the same team twice.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, actually, I saw that because they open up. They go to Connecticut. They're going to be playing in the Bubbleville Pod. They're going to play St. Bonaventure on the 25th.
Yep.
And they play Rhode Island on the 26th, and then Stephen F. Austin on the 27th. And I guess they go back over again, and then they come home. And then they turn around and come back home on the 30th, on December 3rd, and they play Coppin State, who is now the coach of Coppin State is Juan Dixon, who used to play for Maryland. So he's in his third year at Coppin State University. So we were trying to get Pat Skerry on, but we'll get him on during the year. Yeah, right now everything's he's trying to get practice in and all that stuff. And I totally understand with all these new protocols and weird stuff, but we'll keep an eye on them and stuff happens. And then looking at the rest of the schedule here, they're gonna go right here. Just look at the rest of the schedule. They go to George Washington University. They're going to play them. Then they go CQ, they're home in CQ and go to LaSalle. That's Philadelphia. And then they got Morgan State that's around the corner. And then the farthest they go in their non-conference game is George Mason.
I think the great game on their schedule actually is going to be the UMBC game.
Yes, the UMBC right here. They're playing in Catonsville, on the 5th against UMBC. And UMBC is coming 2 years away from knocking off Virginia.
They beat the number one, back in 2018.
And I got to tell you a story. I was up in New York for the ACC title game for basketball, and that night when Virginia beat North Carolina, that player went down and it was hurt. And I asked him, I got a chance to talk to him and talk to the beat writers and all that stuff. And I knew that anybody who played Virginia, that guy who was supposed to be in there, in that, whoever it was, was the glue. And watching UMBC, beat them that bad, wow. It was like, I'm sitting there at my brother's house watching the game, and I had my friend texting me, my friend Matt, going, "Oh my God, UMBC." I'm like, okay, calm down. It's only the second half. You never know,
My brother who lives in Maryland, he lives over in Ellicott City. Him and his son got in the car and they drove to the UMBC campus.
Oh, that's cool. Nice. I did one time. Towson's football team went to the finals against North Dakota State and we got blown out. And I waited until like midnight for them to come back from the campus. That was pretty cool as a reporter, waiting for them to come off the bus. And like you're like, and you don't want to ask anything stupid because they might go off on you.
Oh yeah. We've all been there.
Yeah, we've all been there. So we'll get a hold of Pat Skerry next time. Probably after the holidays. We'll get him on. Coming up at 8:45, we'll get Debbie Antonelli, who she is the broadcaster for ESPN. She does a lot of the women's basketball broadcasts. If you get a chance to watch some of them, we're going to talk some Big Ten basketball and also some ACC basketball because Notre Dame. I'm really sad their coach left. I love that lady. That lady was great. Yeah.
Muff McGraw. Yep.
Oh my gosh, she was sweet.
Program, and it's now up to Coach Ivy.
Yeah, she was so cool to talk to. I was down in the ACC women's tournament a couple years ago, and my buddy Matt, who's in Notre Dame, he loves Notre Dame, and he goes, "Oh, they have women's basketball?" I'm like, "They've been playing for longer than you've been born." I'm like, "Wait, dude." Yeah. And I'm sitting there in the hallway talking to somebody, and I look over, and he's sitting there talking to Coach McGraw, just sitting there talking to her about, off the mic, just shooting the shit, And I'm like sitting there going, "That's pretty cool,"
That was the moment that I had in my first press conference with Coach McGraw.
Yeah.
To me, I was in the presence of greatness.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And that's another program that overcame a lot of adversity and learned from a lot of troubled seasons.
Right.
And
exactly.
That's how Notre Dame women basketball, got on its feet. It was losing those games against UConn and then figuring out ways to go beat them.
Right.
And when you can beat UConn twice, one was in the national championship game, and one was back in a couple of years ago when they beat them in the semifinal game.
Right.
It says something for a program. A program like UConn, they need the adversity, and the conference that they now play in is just brutal. And I think that they're actually transferring back to
the Big East, yeah.
Back to the Big East, I believe.
Exactly. Well, let's welcome in our next guest. She does a lot of stuff for ESPN and does a lot of stuff for women's basketball, Debbie Antonelli. So, Debbie, thanks for joining us. I heard you on the Big Ten teleconference call the other day. I was like, oh, nice question for Coach Freeze, asking her about not being the favorite there in the Big Ten. But I got to ask you, is the Big Ten finally catching up to Maryland? Because I know when I was a kid growing up watching Florida State football, it took ACC football a long time to catch up to Florida State.
Well, it's a really good point, Chris, because, when Maryland came into the Big Ten out of the ACC, they dominated right away. Brenda Freeze has always had top 10 recruiting classes, top 5 recruiting classes, and they just seemed to win pretty easily. I thought their athleticism was just at a different level. And now I think, particularly this year in the Big Ten, on the women's side, everybody talks about, how balanced it is on the men's side. I think the Big Ten is as good as it's ever been. I think it's as deep as it's ever been. It's got great balance, and on any night, anybody can win. So it's always a surprise when Maryland isn't picked first, but I definitely think not disrespecting anybody else because Indiana's a good team. But I think it's going to be really interesting to watch that whole race this year in that league.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. And it's going to be different. So, with the Big Ten, they have 4 teams already in the top 25. You got Michigan, who's top 25. Got Indiana, who's basically nobody's picked Indiana except for men's basketball. So I guess the ladies are doing well in Indiana as well.
Yeah, they're the preseason pick. They've got 4 of their 5 starters back. They've got great balance. They've got 2 players in the backcourt that can really play, and Allie Patberg and Grace Berger. So Terry Morin does a fantastic job, and she's built a winning program there and a winning culture. And I'm not surprised that they're picked to win it. I think they're the only team that beat South Carolina last year. So I think that says a lot for their experience and who they have on their team. I think Northwestern is good. Ohio State is good. Michigan is good. I don't think you can sleep on Iowa. I think they'll be good this year as well. And, of course, we've already mentioned Maryland. We know they're going to be right in the mix.
Right. And what about Rutgers? Because Rutgers, they have a Hall of Fame coach.
Oh, yeah. My goodness. I did not mean to leave them out. Are you kidding me? This is Vivian's 50th year. And, let me give you a fun fact about Rutgers that I dug up already this year. Arella Garantes averaged over 20 points last year, and in Vivian's 50 years, she's only had 6 players average 20 or more. I think it's a really interesting stat about the type of style of play and the kind of teamwork that it takes and all the success that she's had. It's just interesting that there's only been 6 players that have averaged over 20 points.
Yeah. Well, my partner George and I were just talking about Notre Dame women's basketball. Coach McGraw is now an analyst, just like you, on TV. What is the future for Notre Dame?
Oh my gosh, I think they have such an incredible upside. It's always a shock to see a Muffet team not win and, are just average 65 points a game, which is what I think they averaged last year. They just couldn't score. They couldn't score at a level that we were accustomed to seeing, but I think that will change pretty quickly this year. Having the healthy players back, having experience and a lot of depth, and then having a top 3 recruiting class. I can't wait to see what those young freshmen look like. I think we can anticipate that Maddie Westbeld is going to be a lot like her sister, so I'm not surprised. I won't be surprised about that. But I think Sam Brunel will have a really good breakout year, and I think they'll just be better. They'll just be a better team this year.
So, Debbie, I cover the Notre Dame women at Notre Dame. And you can say that when you lose 5 players to the WNBA, one, that's a huge compliment, but in the same breath, it's a huge loss.
Yeah, George, listen, that team was so special, right? I mean, they only needed 5 players to win the championship. Their 5 were so good, and they're all on rosters in the WNBA. And It's so impressive to think about that year, the way that year finished, how much fun it was to watch them. And, I like offense, and I see the game through an offensive lens. And I think, most coaches will not admit it, but I do think that Muffet saw it that way as well. And she just put them in a position to be able to succeed. She allowed them to read and feel the game. She didn't run a lot of sets. They're just so talented that you just didn't need a lot of stuff. You just needed to play in transition and, shoot the 3 ball as well as they did. They were really fun to watch.
And you kind of expect it after a loss like that. I mean, those are just big shoes to fill for any team.
Yeah.
You can put any team in that position, and UConn can go the same direction for UConn, right? They can have a mass exodus of players for the WNBA. They weren't calling it a rebuilding season, but you saw it as time that had to be filled for people to get experience, because when you graduate that experience and have a junior leave early, you lose all that knowledge.
I was the only AP poll voter at the beginning of that year that did not have Notre Dame in the top 25. I thought it was disrespectful and unfair. That is a huge task that you were asking Muffet to take on with a bunch of kids that really didn't have any experience at all, that had not experienced. They experienced winning in a role that wasn't on the floor. Their role was still important, but it wasn't, actually putting points on the board during the games and producing when the lights were on. I thought it was a disrespectful disservice to the game. I think there's a lot of really good teams out there, and just to vote Notre Dame on reputation wasn't fair. So I actually took some heat for that at the beginning, but I didn't hear anybody telling me I was right at the end either, that they only had 13 wins.
Yeah,
that's true. And they didn't even make the postseason. And we didn't have a postseason last year because of the COVID, but they weren't even going to be in. They lost in the ACC basketball tournament.
Yeah, that's right. They would not have been in the postseason. And, they had played so well at the end of the year. I'm thinking their wins were Syracuse, North Carolina, and Florida State. And then they lost in the ACC tournament on a buzzer beater. And it was kind of like, it's just one of those situations, one of those years where they weren't getting there was no luck of the Irish last year, that's for sure.
Well, they definitely get it back this year with Coach Ivey now at the helm, so.
Yeah, I'm excited for Niel. I'm excited to watch what she does. I think her staff is terrific. Coquise coming back is a big get for her. Dara Mabry, transferring over is going to be fun to watch. I'm just excited for them to get it back on track, and I know they will.
Absolutely.
Well, Debbie, I got one more question to ask you. I heard this morning the men's tournament is doing a bubble type thing for the March Madness. Is the women going to do the same thing because of this COVID thing, or they're going to do cross country, or what did you hear so far?
Yeah, that's a great question. We haven't heard anything but a statement that the NCAA put out saying that they don't know what they're doing. They're considering all options. So I personally don't understand why they're both not on the same page. It seems like it's a pretty good guess that the women and the men would do the same thing. But the big difference here, and it's always the white elephant in the room, is that the men are a $1 billion business and the women are last out of the NCAA championships in terms of a profit producer. So the NCAA runs 90 championships and women's basketball is last. So, there's a big difference there between a $1 billion tournament and one that drains the NCAA of money.
Right.
Well, Debbie, let me tell you, I'm a big fan of the women's game. I think that the women's game, there's more of a team effort. There's not that individualism that you see in the men's aspect of it. So this guy right here is all about women's basketball and tries to promote it to its most positive level.
Well, George, thank you. I can tell you on behalf, I can speak for all the other stakeholders like yourself in the game. When you say those kind of things, those things matter. I have proposed many, maybe you guys have heard about, a concept that I had put out a long time ago about this, what I called was the Sweet 16 to Vegas. And when I started that concept 12 years ago, it was an economy of scale, and it was a way to have a destination city for fans to know in advance that, 16 teams are going to go to this Sweet 16 venue. We don't know what the 16 teams are, but, it was a good option for the fans. And, here we sit with this whole bubble concept. It certainly wasn't what I anticipated because of COVID, which is not the right reason to do it. I actually had vetted through many reasons why I thought it was a good option for the women, just like Omaha in baseball and Oklahoma City in softball. That's pretty much the proposal. And it's about the fans. It would have been something that would have been good for the fans. So you could know right now where you could buy a ticket to go under normal circumstances.
And you did the WNBA, and you guys are in one area in Florida, right? The whole season,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so the WNBA and the NBA were both in bubbles, and neither one had a positive COVID test, which was incredible. And as a broadcaster, I did 33 games from home. And that's the way that I'll start the college basketball season, with a home broadcast kit. So that was an interesting, different way to go about doing it, but it's certainly the model that seems to be the way we're going to do stuff moving forward.
Yeah.
I feel you, Debbie. I'm covering the Irish the same way.
Hey, it's good to do a home broadcast. You can go to your kitchen, get your coffee. You don't have to pay for it. You get back into your little office, and you can be like West Durham, get everything all ready to go, and it sounds like you're at Tallahassee, but you're not really. You're not really at Tallahassee. You're home and you're
cheap meals. Cheap meals. 8 steps to the restroom. There's no line. You can wear shorts and call the game. Nobody knows. That was a big thing for me this summer. It was great to be calling a game in shorts. We never get to do that.
Yeah. And I told my mother it's great to do these Zoom calls, these post-game stuff. I don't have to leave my house. I just go right down the hall in my office, and I don't have to go on a highway. I don't have to pay tolls. I don't have to use a hotel. I don't have to go to McDonald's to get lunch. I have lunch right down in my freezer. I'm like ready to go.
Chris, the one downfall for me of having to do this, I got a lot more chores on a Saturday morning before I start covering the game. There's no leaving 3 hours early.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I feel like I'm a little bit more efficient, and I have a little more time to prepare because there is no travel. It saves you a lot of extra time, and it's a different quality of life, right? I mean, I get to work out on game days when I'm at home. I would never be able to work out on the road. And finding something to eat, Chris, like you're right. That would not be on my priority list on game day. That would be the last thing I'd be worried about. But it's much easier to get something to eat and, stay ready to go.
Exactly. Well, Debbie, thank you so much for coming on. I want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving. I know you guys are probably sitting at home, like everybody's going to be, probably Zoom calling everybody, saying happy Thanksgiving and, trying to cut this whole down. And we would love to get you on the rest, when the season starts up and see how everything goes.
Hey, anytime, guys. Thank you so much for thinking of me. I appreciate it. I enjoyed spending time with you guys, and thanks for everything you do to promote the game.
And Debbie, if you and I
You're
can
welcome.
maybe talk at some point in the future, let's see what we can do.
Heck yeah, George. Sounds great. Thank you.
We'll get it.
All right. Thanks, Debbie.
Thanks, Debbie.
All right, folks. That's Debbie Antonelli, who does the stuff on ESPN for women's basketball, and that's a great interview, dude. And I gotta say, I forgot to ask her about Towson basketball for the women's side. They won the CAA a couple years ago, and they have a very good player, and her last name is Jeter, not Derek Jeter. It's Jeter. Yeah, but she's a very good little spark plug. So, well, it's 9:00, folks. It's time for us to wrap it up here. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks, George, for helping me out here this evening. It was a privilege to have you here on the program. We'll get Euan to get his bill paid next week. If you might have a GoFundMe page. Let's have a GoFundMe page. Yeah.
I got to tell you, GoFundMes are probably not the best thing to do for certain categories. Trust me on this one.
Exactly. Well, we'll see you all next Tuesday night at 8 o'clock here on Herbie Radio. George will be back with us, and Euan will hopefully get everything up and running. And we'll talk about our favorite Thanksgiving memories, and we'll also start previewing some of the games next weekend because big game North Carolina taking on Notre Dame. Notre Dame need to keep it going, and also other games as well. So for Euan McCreath, Uski, I'm Chris Heidel. Have a great night, everybody, and thanks, George. Thanks for coming on to help us out.
Thanks for having me, and everyone stay healthy, please.
Brings me round and get to